And that's something that's affecting all of us right now, especially your parents if they've bought a house. What is inflation? Inflation is the ever-increasing price of goods and services over time. Every year, people ask me why. What's happening to the population of a country? It's going up, okay? Are the resources of that country necessarily going up? No. So if our population is increasing, but the stuff that we're trying to live off is staying the same, is there going to be a higher demand for that stuff? More people fighting over a lesser thing? So what happens when there's more demand for something? Price goes up. So inflation is the increasing price of goods and services over time. We can find the increased price of something due to inflation by indexing for inflation. We use the inflation formula. You need this on your cheat sheet. This blue here, so I'll give you time to get that down. We use this formula in two topics, in shares and then in term 2 when we do finance. You'll use the same formula. So get that first formula down. How do I index for inflation? It's the original value times by 1 plus I to the power of n in brackets. I is the inflation rate as a decimal. N is the number of years of inflation. Yeah. First formula, and then I'll explain why considering inflation is important. Why is it important to consider the effect of inflation? You don't need to get this in purple. I just made it purple to separate it out a little bit. Yes?
If you don't get, because of inflation, prices rise. If you don't factor in for inflation, your investment is going to be worth less than it actually is.
Yeah, that's basically what I've tried to set up there. I'm able to make a capital gain. If I try to make a capital gain of 1,000, that's cool, but is that going to take time? It might take a couple of years for the shares to go up enough. And if the price of everything, let's say I intended to buy something for $1,000 and it's taken me 3 years to earn that grand. Well, that thing's not going to be worth $1,000 anymore. It's going to be more expensive. So I've lost buying power with the money that I earned from that investment. So knowing this, we need to find something called the real annual rate of return on investments. This is the percentage your investment increases each year while considering the fact that inflation happens, which is the price of everything going up over time. So there's a bunch of steps here. That annoys you, that's fine, but that's actually how you do it. So these are the steps to find the real annual rate of return on the investment. You need to use TVM Solver on your graphics calculator, but it's also linked on Daymap. I'll show you how to access that. But can you please get these numbered steps down? 1, find the cost of buying. 2, index for inflation, the cost of buying, etc. I won't go with my annoying voice. I'll just let you get that down so we can try it out, and then those steps will make more sense. So what you'll find in the next couple of weeks, because everything's coming together, now the maths starts getting more, not harder, there's just more of it. Bit late now, still Valentine's Day if you're desperate. So if anyone's already gotten most of that, that's the example we're going to do to demonstrate that whole thing. I think some people are finishing up now. So can you confirm for me on that graphics calculator, is that first line of working what I would type out to find the cost of buying the shares? Would my consideration be 500 times by 2.5? Is that the number of shares times by... No? What's wrong with it?
2.5, that should be 0.025.
No? It's in dollars.
Oh, wait.
That's fine. Now let's check again. If I'm buying 500 shares for $2.50 each, do you agree that 500 times by 2.5 is the consideration for that?
Yeah.
If my brokerage is a flat $20, would I add 20 to that? And what's 10% of 20 going to be? 2. So do you agree that top number 1272 would be the cost of buying them? Cost of buying the shares equals 1272. Where's the example? Next, look at the second line of working on the calculator. What did I sell the shares for? $3 each? I'm selling 500 of them, so would the consideration be 500 times by 3? Mm-hmm. And when I'm selling, do I take away brokerage? And do I take away GST? So that would be the selling equals 1478. I've skipped step 2, but that's fine. I can do that at any time. Using your formula, how would I index the cost of buying for inflation? You have to look back up at this formula here. I know it off the top of my head. So the cost of buying indexed for inflation, what did it cost to buy? 1272 times by bracket 1 plus, what's the inflation rate in this question as a decimal? No? Yeah?
0.03.
See, it says inflation averaged 3% over the same time period. So you're going to go 0.03. And then you're going to close the bracket. This button here, that little pyramid, that's the to the power of button on the calculator. How many years did it inflate for? 2. So to the power of 2. So that's the cost of buying after 2 years. What did it cost me to buy? 1272. But we're trying to acknowledge that inflation happened. The price of everything went up 3% every year. So what would it cost to buy them in 2 years? 1349 instead. See how it grew? So that's the part 2 of my working out. 1349.46 to 2dp. What else do I need? What is step 4? On my graphics calculator, I have to go to TVM Solver. General Maths kids that did it last year, you would know exactly how to do this. If you weren't, this is how you do it. Can you see an apps button on your calculator? Find it, press it. You can see option 1 is finance, press enter. See option 1 is TVM Solver. TVM Solver is an app. It wants information and it spits out an answer. Okay? I've told you in these steps, that's why it's so long, I've told you just what to put in here. So what does N stand for? The number of years of inflation. How long did it inflate for? So N is going to be 2. I, what did I say? Leave it alone. That is your answer. That's the real annual rate of return. So leave it. What did I say PV is? The index cost of buying, but as a negative. So it's this number here, 1349.46, but negative. Now, because I haven't had everyone here, I don't know whether your teacher told you, this button here, that's take. That's not negative. This button here, the little take sign in the brackets, that's how you make something negative. If you did my instructions and did the take sign for PV, your calculator is going to freak out. It's going to go syntax error. It won't know what you're trying to say. You need to make it negative by pressing the bracketed one, 1349 0.46. What did I say that you do with PMT? Make it 0. It's already 0. Leave it alone. FV is the return from selling the share. So that's the 1478. What does it say to make PY and CY? Make them 1. They're already 1. That's it. So how do I find the real annual rate of return? Once entered, use the arrows to select I and press alpha enter. Can you guys on your calculator, on the enter button, can you say it says solve on the enter button? What color does it say solve? Green. So how do I access the green functions on the calculator? You press alpha. That's why you press alpha enter. So if you press alpha enter while you've highlighted I, it tells the calculator, can you please solve for I with all this information? So what is that telling you? If my money grew to 1478 and considering inflation, it cost $1,349.46 to buy the shares, considering inflation, my money only grew by 4.65%, which isn't as much as it would have been. Would the percentage be higher if I went from 1272 to 1478? That's a bigger growth, but it's not realistic, because realistic is acknowledging that actually the cost of buying it would be higher in 2 years. Okay? So that is how you find the real annual rate of return. That's the most involved calculation you do in this topic. Okay? Because you have to do, see how it's all stuff that we've done before? What's different? You had to find inflation, and you had to learn to use this app. So it's different, but it's all coming together into the one calculation. I'll stop the video there.